Right, Erica, you mentioned about A/B testing. The reps are giving you, hey, we try this, try that, try this, try that, right? And so, to me, like that could be a little overwhelming, right? If you're getting a lot of requests, so uh,
Yep.
people have to be asking here, like, well, how many A/B tests are too much? Like, how many emails on one email step of your sequence or cadence is too many?
Yeah, I wish I could give you an answer, like 3. That would make it really easy to figure out if you're on track or not. I think with A/B testing, I think the most important thing to keep in mind is to isolate variables whenever possible. Like come at this from an actual scientific perspective to say, okay, let's control everything else that we possibly can, except for one variable that we're going to be able to change. That way you can really understand what changes are having an impact in your data. I would say that's the first thing I look for when I'm assessing someone's A/B tests. It's not necessarily the volume, it's more the quality to see, are they actually conducting an experiment with intention? Is there like a strategy behind it, or are they just kind of throwing a lot of stuff out there, seeing what gets the most responses, and then just turning everything off? And then every single time that they're writing a new sequence, they're just doing the same thing. And it could be a good way to kind of again, throwing a bunch of things out there, seeing what works. Sometimes you have to do that, right? We've all been in situations where it's just, hey, this is just going to be an experiment. We'll see what happens. But when you're talking about a long-term dynamic strategy, you really want to be able to say, for the next month, we're just going to run tons of A/B tests about subject lines, and we're going to gather data from a lot of different sequences or cadences or a lot of different content to actually be able to make conclusive statements to say, hey, when you put someone's first name in a subject line, it gets higher open rates on average overall. And so that might be then an element that you include in every sequence. And so I'm kind of straying from your question, but to come back a little bit more to that question of how many is too many, I think it depends on the capacity of your team and what you're prioritizing. So we work, like most of the teams that we work with, this, they're really overworked. They've got so much on their plate. And so to suggest to them that on top of enabling content, creating a full content strategy beyond getting the first meeting, to suggest to them that they should add an A/B test to every one of those sequences and then monitor it on a regular cadence, and then in addition to that, be able to document the findings and then, repeat those experiments. That, of course, feels overwhelming. But I think as a goal, just being able to say to someone, hey, like, the least you could do is have a few A/B tests going that are intentional and then record the findings and then move on. So my answer to that would be whatever you have the capacity for would be great. If you have a dedicated content writer for, a sales team of, let's say, 30 to 50 reps, I think that content writer has time to always be running a few comprehensive A/B tests, as well as maybe a couple of like event-based template tests or something like that. But it really just depends on the team. It depends on what else you're asking of the writer. If the content writer's a rep, probably not a good idea to also give them comprehensive A/B testing strategy projects. That's a lot for a rep to do on top of writing content.